Hey guys, welcome back to another video over here on the Chinese Zodiac and horoscopes. Today we're going to be doing a reading for you guys born in the year of the dragon. So welcome back all my dragon dudes and dudettes. How are we doing this week? Let's find out, shall we? As we shuffle these cards up and down, move them all around and pick 3 out for you guys. Let's see what's going on. Let's start about... there. And we're going to take that one from the bottom. We're going to take that one from the middle. We're going to take that one from the top. What have we got? Okay, so we're going to start off in a negative place. Then we're going to move over here into a more positive one. Or are we? Because white isn't always all right. Black isn't always an attack. It all depends on the compatibility of the cards when we flip them over. So let's get this negative out of the way first. And it's the Tiger. An emotional card at best. A sulky one at worst. So what can we tell from this negative Tiger? Are you in a sulky emotional place? Something's not really working out for you in a romantic sense or an intimate sense. Has somebody rejected you, or have you felt rejected or abandoned, neglected? Because this is what a negative Tiger would represent. And of course, that would then result in a lack of communication and talking about things, because it's so much easier for a dragon to shut down, occupy themselves with getting on and doing things in a physical sense, rather than sometimes talking about things and communicating. You're still processing it, yes, you're still dealing with it in a way, but you're not talking about it and getting it out. You're rather putting that energy into something, admittedly, productive and progressive, yes, but we're not sharing that. We're not sharing that kind of reasoning. We're not justifying our behavior when we storm off and we just go and get stuff done because it makes us feel better. And usually it makes us, I suppose anybody, it makes us feel that sense of achievement because we're taking control into our own hands. And even if it's something different and not involving what it actually is involving, but it does make you feel more of a sense of purpose, especially if you're feeling neglected or feeling, rejected, even feeling, I suppose, taken for granted or not appreciated, or, just being in that sulky place, because things don't necessarily work out the way we want them to. And unfortunately, dragons, you don't deal with defeat easily, nor does the tiger. In fact, the tiger and the dragon are very compatible in some ways, because when they go together on the same side, the opposition, they should be worried. Tigers and dragons, they go well together in the sense of, fighting side by side. So in this fight that you have, sometimes you're going to have to accept the fact that you can lose sometimes. You're not going to win every single battle. It doesn't mean the war is over. It doesn't mean that you don't have a chance to reclaim that glory, reclaim that victory, reclaim that prize. It's just, you are going to have to take a loss sometimes, but learn from it. Learn from it and grow from it, because change is coming, and it's going to come in a very quick fashion. It's going to move in quite fast. That's what that rabbit catalyst is. The change comes in quickly, the change comes in and you barely even notice it, but things are going to change. Things are going to start turning around. The rabbit and the dragon, they can get on quite well, and they're relatively compatible in some senses, but they do move at the same speed, which means you can move with that change quite fluently. It could also be a change that you've been expecting for a while. It's just, it hasn't quite picked up yet. It hasn't quite happened yet. I suppose like watching a washing machine or watching paint dry. It's eventually going to get there, but you just have no idea of exactly when. Especially watching paint dry, I suppose, because there's no timer on the thing like there is a washing machine. So you are very much aware that that paint will dry, but now you've just got to wait for that to happen. So you are waiting for something to happen, and potentially this could now be the catalytic moment that actually changes things and actually gets that ball moving. But what you've got to remember, my lovely dragon folks, is that when that ball is moving, you're going to have to move with it. It's going to bring on its own challenges. It's going to be its own issues. It's going to be its own sort of, consequences of different things. There's going to be responses and reactions to things. I mean, that ball is going to change, not just a little thing. This is a moment. This is something phasing out and something phasing in. This could alter how your perspective is on things, especially if you are in that emotionally sulky place, because that rabbit is diplomatic. That rabbit is a negotiator. That rabbit is somebody who is trying to offer solutions and resolutions and try and communicate about things. It may not be from the triangle of communicators like the tiger, but it does try. It does try. Every sign has an element of communication skill, whether they are a communicator or not, just like everybody has an element of doing sort of aspect or thinking aspect. Doesn't mean that the only 3 signs in the whole zodiac are the snake, ox and rooster that do any thinking. Of course not. Everybody can think, everybody can communicate. It's just that there are some that are better at it than others, or they do it differently in different ways that makes it easier for them to negotiate or mediate, rather than others who are better at thinking on strategic things or with numbers, for example. So that rabbit could be bringing in some kind of negotiation, can bring some kind of clarity. It could bring some kind of, understanding of a situation that could actually draw you out of your sulky mood that you've been in. And you may not want to admit to yourself that you have been sulky, and people that may have friends who are dragons that may be watching this because they have relationships or friendships with dragons, you may not have even noticed it yourself either. Because dragons do this fantastic thing, as I say, where they disassociate and they put their efforts and their focus on doing stuff and getting stuff done. So you'll be like, oh no, they're fine. They're out there doing their thing. They're fine. When really they're doing that because they're not fine, whether they admit it or not, but eventually they will process it. Dragons are, like rabbits, not in a communicating triangle, but they are still quite good at it. So when they're ready and they've processed it, they will communicate. In fact, it's better for a dragon to go out and process things their way. So go and do your thing. And that's what I think you've done. You've gone and done your thing. And that's what you've been doing to instigate some kind of change in a situation or in the environment where you can now communicate because you've processed. You've done your process, which has then allowed you to communicate, because when a dragon gets a chance to process things properly, their communication can be a lot better, which is, again, leading us to another positive, which is the ox. That's commitment. That is determination. That is persistence. That is a stubbornness unlike no other. In fact, the only one I would say that comes close to an ox in stubbornness would be the dragon, because you can be just as stubborn as each other, but you do work well together in some respects. You can get along, and you can make a good team because you have a lot of respect for each other. And I think respect is key here. I think now that you have got past this sulky stage and, things are starting to turn around, maybe in a more diplomatic sense, or there has been some kind of resolution, it is now time to stick with that and have some discipline with it, out of respect for yourself, out of respect for those involved, out of just respect for those around you. Communication may be your problem right now. Communication may be your issue. Communication could be something that you're not necessarily being great with, because you've got that stubborn, let's get it done, let's do it head on, which is fine. That's your process. But as you're doing this, you're going to be thinking. And as you're thinking, because that is part of the thinker triangle, as you are thinking, you will come up with a more diplomatic way to deal with all of this, and you will start to make sense of it. But it's going to take patience, and you've got to have respect for those involved. You have to have respect and not struggle to have an authority. Don't sort of like push your way in and be heavy-handed with it. This approach requires you to have a bit more grace and decorum, which is, again, the white rabbit. Have a bit of elegance with it. Don't go all in there swinging swords and kicking down doors. We don't need dragon fire. We need delicacy in this situation. And we need the patience and dedication and discipline of that ox. And we'll find out how you get on with that next week, won't we, when we come back and do another reading for you guys born in the year of the dragon. My next reading will be for those born in the year of the snake. So if you're interested in what those guys are up to, I will see you over there next. If not, no worries. I'll just see you in a video for the dragons next time on the Chinese Zodiac and horoscopes. Thanks for watching. Love and peace.